All right, continuing on with our event photography workflow video series. This is video number 4 and probably our final one in this series. Of course, we'll go into more depth and detail in future videos, and then this video is going to be post-processing. Basically, when I get to the hotel or I'm back home and I'm ready to edit all the photos and then get them up online, or however I'm getting them to the customer. If we open up this directory, it's the same photos that we ended up with in the last video. I already went through and deleted all the stuff that I did not like. If you want to see that, make sure you check out video number 3 and you'll see how we got to this point here. So the green labels are telling me these are the ones I picked out really quickly just as usable photos. Again, that does not mean that we are going to use them. It's just I'm going to bring them into Lightroom and look at them a little bit closer and edit them and just see, and I'll probably delete most of them. So we're in Photo Mechanic, and this is available in Windows, I just noticed today, and Mac OS X. So right now I don't have Lightroom open yet. I can open it if I wanted to. In fact, I'll do that because I want to put it on another desktop. Let me close this. That way I have Lightroom open on one desktop, and I'm going to open up the on location one because I'm pretending like I'm still on location. So then I'm going to swing back over to Photo Mechanic. I'm going to highlight all these photos, Command A. I'm just going to drag them right down into Lightroom, and Lightroom will bring up its import module, left to working left to right. It's where it's pulling it from. You never have to really touch this if you're dragging them over. I always add because I'm not moving the photos anywhere. I want to work with them exactly where I put them in that folder, so I'm just adding them to this catalog. And then over here on the right, I want to build one-to-one previews. It depends. If I have time, I'll do one-to-one previews. If not, I'll just select standard or minimal. But for this instance, this is going to be real quick. There's only a handful, or if you're, in the hotel and you're going to go get some coffee or something, just go ahead and do one-to-one previews. Now here's where the develop settings come into play. You saw earlier in the last video that, or probably in the second video, that I built some previews or some presets. First one is apply on import, and the second one is apply on import Florida. Since these are not terrible photos as far as exposure goes, not dark, I'm just going to do my standard apply on import preset. And that's just going to do some basic stuff that I typically like to do to all photos no matter what. And then I'll adjust them as I go. But this saves a lot of time. Hit import. You can see here it imported this folder, and it is now building the one-to-one previews. And it already did the editing. And I think you could watch it go through here, each photo after it does my preset. At this point, my photos are done. I can see the whole one-to-one preview building process is done. I'm good to go. I'm ready to start editing. But so the photos are in. Let's take a look. I'm going to hit the letter D. That's going to bring us to the develop module, and for this particular image, and you can see my preset got added. So if I hit the reset it back to the way it came out of the camera, there's not a big change. It's a subtle change. I'm going to hit Command Z. And you're going to see that again. The first thing I typically do for event photos, when there's 1,000 photos in there or something, or even more, I go through and I crop real quick. And while I'm cropping, I look at the exposure, and if it's too bright or too dark, I'm looking at the histogram. This one's kind of a bad example because this white window here is pulling all the whites. It's blowing it out. And if you hit J, you'll see the blown out sections of this image. So this one is kind of a bad example, but what I would do here is let's say this is a person or something, and I want to get the composition just right. I'll hit R, hold Shift, so it keeps the aspect ratio if it's unlocked here. And okay, let's say I like this, and let's crop it a little bit tighter here. Let's go right here. Let's say I like this. All right, cool. And it's already straight. I don't need to straighten it. I'm going off of, that's your personal preference, but I'm going off the blinds, not the microphone. And I may pull down the highlights just a little bit just to kind of get some of that blown outness, not so blown out. The shadows, this is where your creativeness is going to come in. Maybe drop the exposure just a little bit, give it a little bit more dramatic look. But I don't do a whole lot else. And let's say I like this. basically all I'm going to do is, all the rest of them are the same exposure. I'm just going to, there's a few ways to do this. The main way I'm going to do is hit Command C, and I'm going to grab put check marks on all the ones that I want to copy from this image, and this is typically what I want to copy anyway. So I hit copy, I'm going to highlight the rest, Command V. So all my exposure settings are now the same across all the images. Now all I got to do is go through and crop it real quick. Let's say I want to do this one a portrait version. All right, let's say this one, I look at it closer, I really don't like it, I'm going to hit X as rejected, and then I'll go through. Let's say I don't like this one either, I'm going to hit X. Let's say I go through, this one I don't care for it either, hit X. So these are marked as rejected. All I got to do is hit Command Delete. It's going to say, do you want to delete these 3? Yep, I do. So now I'm left with 2 of them. At this point, it just depends on how you want to deliver your images and to where. If you're going to do something for Facebook, there's lots of videos out there on how to export out of Lightroom, so I don't want to go into details, but I may want to show this one on Facebook, so I'd highlight it, right click it, go to export, and then I have presets that I made up specifically for different things. And for example, I'll do the Web 2000. That's my own personal one. I would just hit export, select that, put it in a subfolder, and then we'll just do that for now, sample. Hit export. It should bring up the folder once it's done exporting. At least that's the setting I had. And there's my it's not super high res, but it's still a 1.3 megapixel or megabyte file, and it's fairly large still. So but this is the right size for me for Facebook type images or anything on the web. Now if I wanted to do something where I give it to a customer for a flash drive, or maybe I wanted to upload it to my online service. For example, I use SmugMug, and there's a plugin for Lightroom for SmugMug. So here's just a mirror image of my online folders and galleries. Let's just pretend this is cat photos. I don't know. It's just real easy to use. And let's say I want to put both of them up there. I'll highlight both. I'll just drag them to that folder. They're not uploaded yet. You got to click on that folder or that gallery, and then you can see that Lightroom notices these photos need to be published still. So all I got to do is hit publish. It's going to export them and upload them at the same time, full res images. And we'll see that here once we get a confirmation that at least one of them is uploaded here. Should be any minute. There we go. So now there's a new section. It says publish photos, and then still publishing one of them. So in the meantime, let's open up a new window of Chrome. Let's go to the website. These photos should be up there by now. And let's make it a little bit smaller. Galleries, miscellaneous, cat photos, and there we go. There's the 2 images that just got uploaded. It's pretty easy, nothing too difficult. There's lots of tutorials out there, but I think I will probably end up doing a pretty in-depth Lightroom tutorial, and then as well as a Photo Mechanic tutorial for metadata, and just drilling down into those. But this is just an overall process thing. So for example, I don't want these images here on my SmugMug account under that gallery, so I'm going to highlight both of them, hit delete, and it marks them as deleted photos to remove. So all I got to do is hit publish again, and it removed them. So if we go back to that random cats, if I refresh that page, they should be gone. Yep, they're gone. So it works pretty well. I've had some issues with the plugin, so I always recommend creating your galleries on the website itself, and then going in here, right clicking, edit settings, and making sure that you sync it, and then it'll sync up all your galleries and everything. So all right, I think that's going to conclude the overall workflow. As far as, I didn't get into fine-tune editing or anything. Again, that's going to be something that we'll do in later videos, but I do use a Wacom tablet. This is a small Intuos Pro, and works really good. I don't use it 100% of the time, but there's certain images that I do like to touch up a little bit further, and it really helps out. But all right, hopefully this helped you guys out, or possibly, and we'd love to hear from you guys or girls, and maybe we can get some pointers from you guys too. All right, till next time.